The morning light spread across the neighborhood like truth finally breaking through lies. Every house looked peaceful from the outside, trimmed lawns, parked cars, neat mailboxes. But behind those closed doors, the air was thick with fear and expectation. Because today, the HOA was going to be judged. The local community center, once used for bake sales and board meetings, was now under siege by cameras, reporters, and angry homeowners. News vans blocked the narrow streets. Microphones lined up at the entrance. Every passing second built tension like the ticking of a courtroom clock. Inside, the air was heavy, not from heat, but from the weight of what was about to unfold. The same hall that once echoed with the casual laughter of HOA meetings was now filled with whispers, camera shutters, and the low hum of nervous breathing. The judge's table stood elevated at the front, draped in deep mahogany tones. At the center of the room, 3 chairs faced the audience, the accused, Brian Turner, Helen Myers, and George Danton. They had ruled this neighborhood for nearly a decade. Now they sat in silence, hands folded, eyes lowered, waiting to defend what they once controlled. Brian's hair was grayer now. His once steady hands trembled slightly as he shuffled through his papers. Helen looked hollow, as though the sleepless nights had finally caught up to her. And George, the man known for walking door to door with warning notices, looked smaller than ever, stripped of authority and pride. Reporters whispered among themselves. "Is it true they took bribes? I heard there's a hidden fund no one knew about." Someone said one of them leaked documents to the media. The tension in the room pulsed like electricity. Then, the side door opened. The judge entered, Margaret Holloway, a respected community law figure with decades of experience. Her steps were calm, but her presence was commanding. As she sat down, the room fell into silence. She adjusted her glasses, looked at the crowd, and said softly, "Let's begin." Her voice carried the weight of judgment. The first to speak was Paul Henderson, a longtime resident, a man in his late 50s, wearing a plain blue shirt and holding a folder full of documents. He walked up to the stand, cleared his throat, and faced the court. "For 10 years, he said, I paid my HOA dues on time, every single month. But when I started asking where the money went, they fined me. When I refused to pay the fine, they sent me a letter and a lien on my house." Gasps filled the room. He paused, then continued. "They said I broke a rule, a cracked driveway tile. But what about the hundreds of thousands of dollars we gave them? Where did it go?" Brian Turner shifted uncomfortably, eyes down. The prosecutor walked over, displaying printed bank records. "These transactions," he said, "were made from HOA funds to companies that don't exist. Maintenance, landscaping, security, my all fake." He turned toward the crowd. "This isn't mismanagement. It's theft." A murmur spread across the courtroom. Helen clenched her jaw, staring at the table. George tried to avoid eye contact. Then came the second witness, Sarah Dean, a former secretary for the HOA board. She looked nervous, holding a trembling piece of paper. I typed the checks myself," she whispered. "They told me to make them payable to certain companies. I didn't know they were fake until the auditor came. When I asked questions, I was told my job was to type, not to think." She lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry," the judge nodded. The audience stirred, and in the back row sat Lena Carter, the woman who had started this war, the whistleblower. Her calm expression hid the storm inside her. She watched as the board squirmed, remembering every night she'd spent gathering those files, copying documents, and smuggling them out one by one. She had lost friends. She had been threatened. But she had also gained something no one else had: proof. Still, she knew something deeper. This was only the surface. A man beside her whispered, "They think they've seen everything? There's more. Files that never got leaked." Lena turned, but he had already slipped away into the crowd. Her heart raced, because if that was true, then the corruption went higher, maybe beyond the boardroom. The prosecutor brought out photos, new evidence, expensive dinners, luxury resorts, and private meetings between board members and developers. Deals made in secret. Decisions that ruined people's lives, all for money. The crowd erupted. A woman shouted, "You made us pay for your vacations!" The judge slammed her gavel. "Order! Order in the court!" The chaos slowly faded, but the damage was done. The world outside the neighborhood now knew this wasn't a small HOA scandal. It was systemic, An entire community controlled through fear, fines, and fake rules. Lena sat quietly, but inside her mind was racing. She remembered the night she first saw the folder labeled Confidential Level 3. It contained a list of names of people marked as non-compliant. Those were the homeowners who questioned the board too often. Every one of them eventually sold their homes or were forced out. It wasn't just money. It was control. The judge called for recess. Reporters swarmed the exits, chasing statements. Brian Turner stood slowly, adjusting his tie, trying to hold what little dignity he had left. A journalist shouted, "Mr. Turner! Do you admit to the fraud?" He turned away. Helen whispered something to him, but no one could hear. Outside, the crowd was growing. Protesters, homeowners, even local activists. Their chants echoed through the streets. "Law is not above the law! Give us our rights back!" The community that had once been divided was now united against their former rulers. As Lena stepped outside, flashes of cameras surrounded her. "Lena, do you think justice will be served?" one reporter asked. She looked at the crowd, the banners, the chaos, and said softly, "Justice isn't something you wait for. It's something you take back." Her voice trembled, but her eyes didn't. The camera panned up, showing the courthouse from above. The protests, the flashing lights, the burning sunlight reflecting off the windows. The voiceover faded in slowly. Power doesn't disappear. It changes hands. Every system built on silence eventually breaks under its own lies. The HOA thought they were protecting order, but they were protecting themselves. The sound of the crowd blended with the faint hum of a helicopter camera shot. The city watched. The country listened. And somewhere deep within the chaos, hidden files still waited to be uncovered.